Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. Today's clip is from part 2 of an interview we did with Don McLean. In this short clip, Don talks about his lasting friendship with the late, great Chet Atkins. And also he talks about the last meeting that he had with Chet before Chet passed away. He also talks about Nashville as a city and how much he appreciated his acceptance here more so than anywhere else. If you like what you see, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Hope you enjoy it. Don McLean. One of the guitars we have on exhibit came from Chet Atkins.
Yeah, but you got them all painted over.
Not these.
What'd you do to all these?
This is just art.
Yeah, I know.
One in the museum, but one of the guitars we have from Chet Atkins is called a Haskell Hell, and it was a furniture maker in Kentucky, and he and his wife, once he stopped making furniture, made these nylon string guitars. And he also designed the guitar that was called the Chet Atkins SST, the thin-bodied electric solid body nylon, traditional hollow body. It was solid body, but the pickups they had in it and everything sounded like a hollow body. But the one that we have on exhibit, Chet used to record his album, Chet Picks on the Hits, 1972, and that's the one that he recorded Vincent with on that album.
You know, Chet was my good friend. I'll tell you a little story about Chet quickly. Chet was a titan. You know, he was gigantic.
Now, he was a good friend of mine.
His contribution to music and keeping it country but moving it, you know, over just a little bit more into pop. And he recorded And I Love You So with Como. He made a couple of chord changes in that song. There's an A7 that he puts in there that I don't use that suddenly made the song better. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, Fred Rose would do to, you know, Hank Williams songs. You know, he'd just change a couple of things and make it just a little bit smoother. Well, every time I came to town, Chet and I would get together. And, you know, this is over a period of 20 years. And we come down to in Christmas time, he'd always call Tony. He said, well, I got Don's Christmas record on. I said, boy, that's one of my favorites. You know, and you know, it's right down his alley because he loved the voices and the beautiful songs and the sentiment, you know. And I used to love his Christmas album, you know, that one with the guitar and the snow on the sheet. Oh, my God, what a great cover that was. So, you know, so then he was, you know, kept getting sick. You know, he beat about 3 different kinds of cancer.
Right.
He just kept going, but always dealing with this. So Tony Migliore was his musical director for 20 years. He's my musical director for 30 years. And he said, anyway, I got a call from a lady who I knew who worked in hospice of some sort. And she said, Chet wants to see you. I was coming to Nashville. I said, well, I'll make sure I'll go to his house. So Tony brings us to the house. We go there, and Chet he's half comatose and half awake. And I'm very bad at this stuff. You know, I got to tell you, I'm ashamed of myself, but I'm not one of these people that can be around this kind of stuff. It completely unhinges me. But I started to tell myself, you have to do better. You know, you must go. And so, because I saw my friend Lee Hayes lose both his legs, you know, to diabetes. It's hard, you know, to watch. You can't imagine what it's like to go through. But I'm a jerk in some ways. You know, I just can't see it. So I said, I'm going to do better. So I went, and we sat, you know, and his head would be down like this. And then I was telling a story. He's listening, though, about the time Chet and I were on the Nashville Now show and we did Vincent together. And on that same show was Bill Monroe. So I was backstage, and Monroe, you know, had that mandolin. That was his like lifeline, like a real great artist. It was one instrument, and that was it, you know. So I was telling the story, and a little boy from the show came over, and said, well, Mr. I'll take that mandolin. And Chet goes like this, I'll hold on to that. He does like an impression of Bill Monroe. I'll hold on to that. He says, and he came out of it for a bit. And then he didn't say much, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, he had such a drive.
Oh, he's a funny guy.
Oh, he was so funny, and he was so.
You used to talk to him about Gene Autry all the time. I have a fascination with Western music, saddles, horses, you name it, Western movies, everything. I'm way into it. And Gene Autry is one of those guys, a Texas businessman that puts his head through a brick wall. That's the kind of guy this guy is. He never failed, and a super competitor, but not a nasty guy. You went in the Army, was a sergeant, did his tour duty, was in serious stuff, and Roy didn't go in the Army, and Roy was number one while he was in the Army. He comes back out, he's immediately number one. He says, oh, there's room enough for two of us. That kind of guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they don't make them like that anymore.
No.
So we would talk about Gene Autry, and I'd say, his voice has always hit the notes. Yeah, he was right in tune, and he hit those notes, Roy was always a little iffy. I mean, I love Roy Rogers because he got a big heart and he's wonderful movies. But anyway, so I'm about to leave, and he stands up, and he looks me in the eye, and he said, I want you to know I'm really glad I got to know you. Even telling it,
Yeah, I know, man.
I said, what kind of life do I live anyway? I can't even believe it, So I walked out, I cried a little bit.
Chet was, he was just a.
But to say that,
I know it, man. He was just a, he came out, I had a guitar shop grand opening. And I said, Chet, would you come out to my grand opening? And he goes, yeah, I'll come. So he comes out and sets up and plays in my parking lot for free.
Oh, my God.
And I'm just like, what did I do?
I know.
You know what I mean? And
that's the way people were here when I first came here. I stayed at the what the name of the hotel? It was right next to Webb Pierce's house.
Spence Manor?
The Spence Manor.
Yeah.
I'm looking out, and I'm seeing this guitar-shaped swimming pool.
Right.
I said, man, I'm in Nashville,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I just love this place. And I love the car. And because I was always go up to North Hollywood to Nudies, and he always had two of those cars parked out back with the antlers and the rifles and the silver dollars.
Yeah, right.
And I go all over those, and I go in and buy 4 shirts.
Yeah.
And this is 1973. I found the Bolin Silver Company, and I bought my first Bolin buckle. In fact, let me see if I have this. I'll show you it. This is so cool. You want to see something? You got to take a look at this.
Yes, you do.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's great. I used to work for a guy named Billy Sherrill, and Billy produced Tammy and George and Charlie Rich, and he wrote with a guy named Glenn Sutton, who they wrote tons of hit songs for Tammy and people. And so one day we went to the Spence Hotel, and I went with Billy up to the 4th or 5th floor, and they were dedicating that pool. And the governor was out there, and the mayor. And I don't know if you ever knew Glenn. But Glenn was crazy. He was funny as all get out. He pulled up, had a limousine pull up to the gates of the pool. He got out. All the press, everybody was there. He had a monster from the Black Lagoon mask on, and he dove into had been drinking.
Yeah.
And he dove into the swimming pool and did the swan thing.
Creature from the Black Lagoon in the pool.
Yes, and he said, blanket, Webb Pierce forever, and jumped in, and the governor's like, freaked out.
Well, there was so much humor here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I stayed once at Roger Miller's hotel, and there was floor 7, he had a 7 this big, so he was drunk, he would tell what floor he was on.
Yeah.